Hello folks, thanks for tuning in again. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe, give us a thumbs up and ding the bell for any notifications of up and coming videos. Right, today I made the decision a couple of days ago with my train layouts. Well, they're not layouts, just a board so I can run my track round. I've decided I'm going to run an end-to-end layout, and I'm just going to plod along with that, you know, however long it takes. It could take forever. Well, they do, don't they? You just build them and you grow them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the whole length of my workshop, which is a standard size garage here in the UK. Was it about 20 foot or so? I don't know the exact measurements, but I'm going to go from one end to the other, and I think it's just over 2 foot wide. I've purchased some brackets. They're actually the same size brackets that I'm holding my diesel eater up, which you may have seen in a different video. Although they're not the same ones, they're a little bit cheaper, and they're probably not quite as sturdy, but they don't need to hold up as much weight. However, they will be suitable for what I need. And at the moment I brought 8. I wasn't sure how many I'm going to need. Oh, and what I needed to say at the start of the video is I'm sorry about the sound quality at the moment. I'm sure you can hear me okay, but it's not as good as normal because I've left my mic on charge. So I'm using the mic that's on the camera at the moment, which is not quite as good as a mic clipped to me collar or something like that. Anyway, so what I've got to do is I've got to start clearing the wall. It's going to be roughly about that height there. I don't know, can you see that? And it'll probably come out to about there. In fact, it will come out to there, to the end of that bracket. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just going to come a bit further than this drawer section to about here, probably about 3 inches past there. However, all these have got to come out, these have got to come down. I've cleared some shelves so I can move all this stuff up there. So that's out of the way. This shelf will disappear because it will run just above it, I would have thought. In fact, I may be able to keep it underneath to keep stuff on it, because I think it's just going to go just above it. So there'll be a little space to store stuff under there. So there'll be a corner under there and I'll be able to put stuff on. So that would still be usable. But I'm just going to plod on and do it. And I mean, my first job is now just to clear this space. But what I'm going to do is just clear this section. I've also got to get round this support here as well. So it's got to go around there. I haven't purchased the boards yet, and I may purchase the same boards as I've got down here. And I will have to cut them to size that's in width, because they're going to be a little bit too wide. It's a nice width and I could use that, but that means that they're going to come out to here and then completely, you know, block this section off underneath. If it comes here, this is going to still be a usable space, if you know what I mean. But my first job, other than me clearing all this space here, and like I said, I'm going to do this half first and then work my way down. What I need to do, because the bolts are brought with the same as the ones, or the screw bolts I should call them, for anchoring it to the wall. Although these came with the screws to put them to the wall, I want to put some a bit more substantial in there. And I purchased these ones when I did the diesel eater, and they're good quality ones, but the hole is slightly too small for them on the brackets. Like I say, it's slightly different to those brackets there. So my first job is just to drill these out a little bit, just to make them a little bit bigger, so these will go through. So I'm going to crack on and do that, and then starting to tidy up. And if you guys come up with any ideas with this layout, this end-to-end layout, let me know what you think I can do. Like I say, it's something that's going to grow, you know. I don't know how long it'll continue. I don't know. I mean, in the past we had plans of moving, and I think we have in the future, but not just yet. So that's going to be another good thing. This is going to be, I'll be able to take it apart and take it with me if we did ever move. So let's get these holes drilled, shall we? Okay, let's see what I can do. Although it's got 3 holes, I'm only putting 2 bolts in. It shouldn't need the 3, really, because I'm not intending to use a lot of weight on there, and whatever goes on there, it should be fine. What I might do is I will actually drill the hole, and if I do want to put that 3rd bolt in, then I can. So let's get this, slow it down a little bit, let's see if it'll go through. Clutch is going on the drill, which is not good. So let's do the others. Here we go. That should do the trick. Look at that. Perfect. Only got to do that on another 8 brackets. Right, so I've drilled the holes for the first 4 brackets. So my screw bolts are big enough to go in there. I've just got up my TT tabletop track and trained and stored it away. This is another issue that I've got. I'm not sure what gauge. Oh, I've got a bit of swarf in my finger off that where I drilled it. That's it, it's gone. I've got a choice of 3 gauges, and it did go through my mind if I should just put the 3 gauges on there, like just a line of each one, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that. So I've got the TT, I've got the 00, and I've got O gauge as well, and I will give it some thought, because if I did it TT, I could actually have quite a big layout there along there all the way down to the bottom there. That could be quite substantial layout. So that's something I need to think about, but I've got a hell of a lot of 00 gauge trains, which will give you a little glimpse. That's just a few of them in there. They're triangle though, they are. But I've got some more modern stuff, and I've got some DCC stuff with sound and things like that. So I need to give that a real good thought, but that won't stop me from putting up this. It's going to be like a shelf, really, all the way down to the bottom there. It's going to be a bit like a shelf, which would be good. it'd be nice to sit at my bench, although it will restrict me what I can put on my bench height wise. So that's something I have to think about. But if you look behind me, I've got workspace there, which I'm going to keep, which is part of me temporary layout as it is. So I have got space there if I need to do any work with anything with height, because let me take you down to the bench. Everywhere's a mess at the minute, and hopefully I'm going to start tidying up as I go along. So you can see this is the bench here. It's okay, difficult to see what you can see. I'm looking on a little screen, and I ain't got my glasses on. So that's my bench there that I generally work on and do stuff, and it's okay to do stuff. I can be sat here, and the shelf, I think the layout will be about there, and it's going to come out to roughly about there. And what I'll do is fit a light underneath so it brightens up the worktop, and doing all small stuff like that will be fine. But it's when I get anything tall that I need to work on that will become the problem, which is not very often, but you know, it does happen. And my plan is to come, maybe I'll probably stop it here. I won't go right to the end, I don't think, so I'll probably stop it here. Although when I get down here, I might look at it, I might just run it through there. So I've got to, I think the top of it's going to be where this cable is. That's going to be the top where the board will be, so the brackets will sit down there, and then the shelf will come out here. In fact, I've got to make sure, because if I do come past there, I've got to make sure that can still operate, and there's enough room underneath if I need to put any cables or anything like that. So I may just bring it up a little bit, and maybe the top of the board might come to there, and that will give me a line all the way down to the bottom. Something to think about, which I need to think about now, because I'm about to put the first brackets in down that end. And like I said earlier, I've then got to plan for this part that sticks out, so the board will need to be cut so it goes in there, and obviously the rails will need to come past there. But what you can do is, like, because that'll be dead space, I can have a points put in, and then you can have like a buffer stop for a couple of trains, and they can be parked in that space there. So you can use all the space up easily with things, you know. It's just ideas, and like I say, there's no rush for this. It's been just nice to get the board up, and it's there. And I've got to make sure I don't start using the shelf as storage, because I've got an habit of doing that. So I've just got to make sure I don't do that. So what I need to do now is just clear this area. These I'm going to move, and is going to be stored up there. Can sort it out a bit. Then I've got to take these drawers off the wall, which is just a few screws. Sort that out. So let's get to it and sort it out, shall I? So if I just do a bit today, here and there. That's my brackets. Over there, I'll get my drill and unscrew this. This is full of stuff, so I've got to be careful. I'll just move this station out of the way. Although it's an old triangle one, it's, you know, I still don't want to break it, so I'll just move it out of the way. Put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. So that is actually resting on something sort of holding position. I should be able to unscrew it on top. I think that looks fine, I think. There we go. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Look at the way to put it now. I'll just put it on the stool for now. In fact, I'll just move back there. It's come out there. So if I'm sat on my stool like that, that is going to be right at my eye line, and I don't know whether I want it to just come down a little bit. So if I'm sat there, I'm looking dead level with it. I didn't really want to take these boards off, but I might have to. They're only stuck on the wall with some Gorilla Glue, I think it was I used. So that wouldn't be difficult to get that off, it'll just pop off. Yeah, I think I need to come down to about that height. So when I'm sat down and look level, it gives you a good perspective of the layout. And then when I'm stood up, it's just nice to look down. So I think that will probably be the height. I think that's the one there. Just mark it there so it reminds me that's the height there by that join there. So let's see how difficult it is to get these boards off. And now this board should now just pop off, I think. There you go. No, it wasn't Gorilla Glue, it was just some sealant. I'm going to do just think that's the right one. Somebody at the door. Come on, to the front door. First one up. That was a bit painful, but the first one's up.